Okay, so welcome to July's Donorfy Deep Dive. As I say, we're going to go through everything GiftAid. The members of the Donorfy team are on the chat, so remember the window. You can ask us the chat, just type in your question and we will answer as we go. So let's see, what is GiftAid? Well, I think you guys on the call probably know this a bit better than I do, but GiftAid is the scheme by which you can claim an extra 25p for every £1 given. And that's on donations from individuals, provided that the donor has paid the same amount or more in income tax or capital gains tax in that year, and that they have made a GiftAid declaration that gives you permission to claim that GiftAid. And you must also be recognised as a charity or a community amateur sports club to claim. So I think that probably applies to lots of us on the call. So that's just to kind of give you a bit of an idea of what's going on. But as I say, you probably know that better than I do. So what does the GiftAid integration in Donorfy look like? Well, it has the following features. So it will allow you to automate the collection of GiftAid on all the eligible gifts via the HMRC portal. We can send out confirmation letters for verbal GiftAid declarations. And you can configure the eligibility of the GiftAid claim in your Donorfy database. And then we can also include all the support for the GiftAid small donation scheme. So we'll have a look at that as we go through. There are some resources. So as I say, this is being recorded right now. And the slides will also be available and the recording on the Donorfy chat group. And there's lots of space, lots of information and articles on the knowledge base. So if you go to support.donorfy.com and scroll down a little bit towards the bottom to the GiftAid section, everything that you see in this presentation is also listed out in a little bit more detail on the articles there. So what does the GiftAid process in Donorfy do? Well, we're getting in transactions passed into Donorfy from various different external sources. So it's coming from your website, it might be coming through from third-party providers like Eventbrite. It might be going directly into the system, so somebody has sent you some cash or check, or you might have taken up text donations, which is brand new to Donorfy. I'm sure that's coming in a deep dive soon. And also Just Giving, but just a note on Just Giving, that Just Giving is claiming the GiftAid for you. So we've just marked that in Donorfy as a payment method that's not GiftAidable, and then it obviously won't be claimed again. So various ways that we're getting transactions into Donorfy, and then they're marked on the timeline as a recurring payment instruction or as a transaction, as you will know. And we're also passing through onto the timeline the GiftAid declaration. So that's all captured in Donorfy, and then once you've done your connection to the HMRC, well, before that, it's being captured into the GiftAid list in Donorfy. And then that goes to HMRC, so we submit it to HMRC automatically. HMRC puts the money in the bank account and also passes information back to Donorfy to let Donorfy know that those claims have been successful or not, and we'll go through that. So how does it work? Well, overnight, the GiftAid claim is updated, so that's the active GiftAid claim. This is the one that you'll see in your, under financial, under GiftAid, you'll see this claim in there. So that's being updated overnight for all the transactions that are eligible that have happened during the day. There's an update claim button there as well. So if you hit that button, it will update that list straight away. So you'll be able to see any transactions that you have just entered. And that's, as I said, you'll find it under financial and GiftAid. The claiming then of that process is all automated if the constituent has an active GiftAid declaration on their timeline. The transaction has its potentially GiftAidable switch set to yes, and we'll see all of these as we go through the presentation. The transaction date paid is within 4 years of the end of the financial year that you received it in. The transaction product is set to allow GiftAid. The transaction payment method is set to allow GiftAid, and it's not been previously claimed, and it's not been imported as an already claimed transaction. So if all those things are correct, then the transaction that's been added to the database will go automatically into this list, and then, if eligible, will be claimed automatically on your behalf. So we'll see all of that in action. How it gets submitted? Well, on the last day of the month, your active claim is going to be made into a ready claim. So at the end of the month, the active claim is closed and it becomes a ready to claim. So it moves from one tab to another. And then a new active claim is started for the new month. So if you look on the first of the month in your active claim tab, there won't be anything there. It's all gone into the ready to claim list. On the first of the month, an email is sent to the system administrator. So if you are the administrator for your Donorfy database, you will have been receiving these updates on the first of the month, if this process is set up for you, saying that your ready to claim view is, you can go and have a look at that and just check it over. So if you go to Financial and then GiftAid and click on the Ready to Claim tab, you can check that you're happy with that claim. And then it will just be sent to HMRC automatically at the beginning of the month. So on the first of the month, that claim is sent automatically to HMRC. And that's where you're going to find it. So under Financial and GiftAid, and we'll have a look at it in the actual product in just a moment. Once it's submitted, then the status is changed from ready to submit, and you'll now find it under Financial, GiftAid, under the previous claim. So we've got several tabs in that GiftAid area under Financial. So it starts an active claim. At the end of the month, it will go into ready to claim, and then once it's been claimed, it will come into previous claims. And this, so you can then choose the claim that you want to look at, and you can see previous claims in there. And HMRC will have responded with one of the following. So it will be acknowledged. That means that the HMRC have the claim, but it hasn't been processed yet, so the state of it remains submitted. It might say complete, which means that HMRC have processed the claim in Donorfy. The claim state will still be set to claimed here. So in this list here, all of these ones are claimed. That means HMRC have processed that claim. Or it might come through as error, which means there's a problem with the claim and it will be set to rejected in Donorfy. So what does it look like on the record when something has been claimed successfully? So we know that the transactions are sitting on the timeline, the record, the timeline of the record of the constituent. So it will show as added to an active claim when it's been added to that claim under Financial and GiftAid. So you can see the status of it. And it will also be shown, you can see when it's been claimed. So the status is set as claimed. So this is on the transaction on the timeline in both cases. So when HMRC pass the information back to Donorfy, then we'll automatically update the status of the transaction on that timeline. How do you set this up? So you need to register with HMRC to use charities online. So you go through their process. This link will send around afterwards. And they will give you a sender ID and a password, which you then need to add to Donorfy. So again, under Financial, GiftAid and Settings, you'll see, so this is our GiftAid area. We've seen active claim. This is the one that it defaults to, so you'll know that sheet quite well. And at the very end there, you've got settings. So we're going to add the details that HMRC has sent us in here. So you've got your ID and you've got your password. Then in previous claims, so to check that the sender ID and password are valid once you've added all this information in, go to the previous claims tab and then press the Retrieve Status Update button. And Donorfy will then make a request using the details that you've entered. And if there's a problem, you'll see an error message in there. Just well, I'll probably do a reminder, but maybe it's a bit of knowledge here. So if your government gateway password is longer than 12 characters, only enter the first 12 into Donorfy, and it should still process that through. So throughout this whole process here, you need to be. This is the tricky bit. So you have to make sure that everything that's added into the areas here, into the fields, is exactly the same as the details that you've given HMRC. So here we can see that we've got the HMRC submission settings, so that the title is Mr., full name is Bob, surname Smith. If the HMRC, instead of putting Bob, you had given the name Robert, this will fail because this needs to be exactly the same as what you sent to the HMRC. Also, just be careful about having a space after anything. So if you accidentally wrote Robert in the HMRC setup and you put a space after it, then you'll need to make sure that it's Robert here and a space after it. So it's that sensitive, the HMRC information. So if you have been through this process, perhaps with the support team at Donorfy, you'll know that this can be a bit tricky. So just be really careful when you're entering the data into HMRC, and then when you're adding it to Donorfy here, they have to be exactly the same. And then the process will work beautifully, I'm told. Okay, so once you have set up all your details in this settings area under financial and GiftAid, then need to set up the settings for the financial information. So when the transaction is added to the timeline, we need to make sure that the payment methods and the payment types are set up correctly to be gift-aidable or not. So first of all, configure your payment methods. So go to Settings, Configuration and Payment Method. And when you've got payment method chosen in there, just go through all the payment methods. So we've chosen just giving an example here. And that is set to, so potentially gift-aidable is set to no, which is what we would expect for the just giving. But you can set all of the payment methods that you've got can be different eligibilities. And then do exactly the same for products. So settings, configuration, and you would go up to this drop down and find product. It looks exactly the same. Choose all your products in order. So just go into each one and indicate whether it is gift-aidable or not. So that means that you can then configure the settings for gift-aid eligibility specifically for your system. So now we have set up with the HMRC and we've set up with financial information. You can override those global settings if you want to for individual transactions if necessary. So when you come onto the transaction in the timeline, you can, there's a little more button here. You can press that button and you can change the potentially gift-aidable question at the very bottom there. You can change that to no. So you wouldn't necessarily do that every time. So all the transactions will reflect the global settings that we've just done with the HMRC slide that we've just seen, and with the payment method and with the product. But if you needed to, you can come into individual transactions and override that by checking that to no. And you can do that for different allocations. So if one payment has two or many allocations, each allocation could be gift-aidable or not. You can override those settings if you need to. You might get errors in your claim as you're going through GiftAid process, and the system will show you what the errors are. So let's actually go and have a look at the system here. So this is my demo database, and this is my active claim. So these are all the eligible transactions from this month so far. I can then do this. So this error details here. To get that column added in, we've got a little column picker on the right-hand side here, and I could just add or remove that. So you might just see, if your system, you're only seeing the reclaim status as error, and you're wondering what the error is, come to this little column picker here, add error details as column. There it is, and it will tell you what the error is. So if we then go in and change one of these errors, so let's go to Mr. Rob Davies, he's missing his postcode. So I can go to his record. I can add a postcode in here. Just choose to add another one in. So we've got some details in there. Save the changes. So we now save that, so we can go back to financial and GiftAid. And we should then see the change on his, oh, I think I've got a different claim here. So we'll then see that those errors have been automatically updated. So, oh, there's Mr. Rob Davies. So let's just update the claim actually, and then that will update it. There we go. You can now see if we track along the line for Rob Davies, it's now ready because we've corrected that error. So make sure you have the error details chosen from the picker, and then you can see what those errors are. So that's the first thing. Make sure you can tell what the errors are. The system will tell you what they are. So it will be identified as an error. Add the error details from that little picker. You can correct the error on the record, update the claim using that little button top right, It will update itself overnight, but if you want to see it immediately, as I've just demonstrated, then you're going to update the claim there. And then anything, so if donations with errors are in the ready claim, so if we look back at the actual system, so when they come into ready to claim here, if you're seeing errors in here, you can't actually correct those errors at that point. They will just go into the next month's claim. So they'll just move into the next one. They'll go into the active claim. And then you can make the changes again for the following month. Other errors that we might get, so if so the address line might be too long. So address line 1 might be too long. To correct that, so you can see here, this is on the record of the individual, so this is the constituent record. You can just wrap the address onto 2 lines, so the first and second line. Because that first line of the address can only hold up to 40 characters, but it needs to include the house number and the building name and the street road name, so just make sure that it's wrapped onto the 2 lines there. The taxpayer title and name might not be right, so it's very important to note that if you don't have those correctly, don't necessarily change them on the constituent record, change them on the GiftAid declaration on the timeline. That's the bit that it's picking up from for the purposes of the connection to the HMRC. And make sure the titles are correct as well. So the taxpayer's title can contain up to 4 letters, but no punctuation. So if you can see that so you can see here, Mr. without a full stop is fine. With a full stop, it's going to produce an error. So that's something just to be mindful of. And then forename and surname might be too long as well. So they can contain up to 35 characters. And the postcode might be invalid, so that's often one that you might see. So just double check that the postcodes are a valid UK postcode. And that's where we can see. So this is where we would change the details on the GiftAid declaration for the constituents. So the name and address details on, the name details on the GiftAid declaration, and not necessarily on the profile of the giver. Can you reverse a GiftAid claim? You can. So if you have claimed the tax but it needs to be reversed, then you need to follow these steps. Firstly, go to Financial, GiftAid, Previous Claims. So let's have a look at that. So we'll go to under Financial, GiftAid, and then we've got Previous Claims. And then choose the claim that you want to reverse something from. So we'll look at the last month's one there. So we've done that in our process. We've chosen the one that we want to look at. And you need to find the donation that you want to reverse. And you can click on Claimed and then change that status. And confirm the change by clicking on the tick icon. So it's going to show as claimed on the right-hand side. Let's look at that in the live system. So yeah, we can see a claimed one there. And then if I clicked on that claimed, it would give me an option. So let's do that as well. So we click on Claimed. I can drop down, I can reverse that, and I can check that, and that will reverse it. So remember that it's Jimbo. So we've reversed that claim. If I refresh the active claim then, the reversal should be in the list. Oh, moment of truth. Let's have a look at the active claim and update that. Completely forgotten the name. Jimbo, that's what it was. There it is, there's the one, and it's telling us that it's a reversal. And that one's ready to go through with the next claim. And then you'll need to enter the reason for that adjustment. So if we look back at so the active claim we're on now, it's telling you that this claim includes adjustments. So we just need to write in there what the reason was for every reversal that's on the list here. So we've got a few of them in there. So we can just write in there what the details are for each one. And then you can confirm those adjustments by clicking Save on there. So we'd write the details in, Save on the right-hand side. So that's how we reverse a GiftAid claim. Then sometimes you might receive your GiftAid declaration. So the system is allowing you to take GiftAid declarations in automatically. So if you're using the widget, that will come through the widget automatically onto the timeline. So it will record the transaction on the timeline, and it will record the GiftAid declaration. But if somebody gave you a verbal GiftAid declaration, you have to then give them confirmation. So we can do that in Donorfy. So on your Financial GiftAid, so that's where all of this is happening. you've got a tab for unconfirmed declarations. So if we go to that area, we can review the list. We can click Prepare GiftAid Declaration Confirmation Export, and that will give you a download that you can then use to mail merge and send those letters out. So prepare it as a CSV file, you download that, and it will also update the GiftAid declarations as confirmed on those particular records. And you can also add a confirmation sent to the timeline, so that will happen automatically when you download that. So again, we can look at that in the live system. So I'm on Financial, GiftAid. Just scroll along the top here. I've got that tab, Unconfirmed Declarations, and now I can see that Mr. Momoa has, he gave us a verbal declaration and we need to confirm it. So we can then prepare the GiftAid declaration. As soon as I do that, it will mark on his record that he has, that we've sent him we've sent him that confirmation letter. And then if somebody appears in that list that you've already sent a confirmation to, we just manually go back to the record and reflect on the timeline, or on the GiftAid declaration on the timeline, that that's already been sent, and then we can this list will update itself. So find the GiftAid declaration on the account. It will indicate that confirmation is required. Just put the date in there and save it, and then that will update them from this list, so they should disappear. I'm going to give that a whirl right now and see if that's true. So let's go to this record, go onto the timeline, have a look. Here's his GiftAid declaration. It had to be confirmed. Let's say that we confirmed that earlier in the week. Save the changes. So now if we look at that GiftAid declaration, the confirmation has been received. We go back to the Financial and GiftAid and have a look at unconfirmed declarations. It's no longer there because we have confirmed that one. It worked! Hooray! I didn't doubt it for a second. Right, okay, so we can confirm the verbal GiftAid declarations. So what's next? GiftAid Small Donation Scheme. So this can also be reflected in that process in Donorfy as well, through the same areas. So this is the process that allows you to reclaim tax without a GiftAid declaration. But you need to check the current rules before making a claim, because they change quite regularly. So we made a change to these slides this morning because we discovered that the amount has literally just now gone up. So our current understanding is that you can claim it based on cash donations of, I had updated these slides, apologies, but cash donations of now £30 or less, and contactless donations of £30 or less collected on or after the 6th of April 2017. And then from that date, you can claim up to £2,000 in any tax year, or £1,250 for earlier years. So as I say, just check the current HMRC guidelines before you do your small donation scheme addition to your Donorfy claim. So you need to follow these steps. So we recommend that you set up a payment method of SDF, or small donation scheme, and mark it as not eligible for GiftAid. So remember how we saw that earlier? We saw it on the slides, but we can have a look at it now. So we go into Settings, Configuration, and find your payment methods in here. And then we might have one. Let's see if we've got small donations one in here. There we go. So add one in here, or find the one that you've got, and potentially GiftAidable. So just make the small donations one, if you had a small donations one in here, as not GiftAidable. So we do that in this area here. Once that is done, we'd also suggest that you set up a transaction list that will show you the total value of your anything that's come in with a payment method of SDS. And there are, well, I won't talk through all of these, but we've got here for you the things that you need to add to that transaction list, so you can set that up. And on the knowledge base, this article shows it in detail, so you can see exactly what you need to recreate as a list. So once that's done, once you set up that list, you can then download that list at any point to see the total transactions that have come in via the small donation scheme, via that payment method. And the reason that you would make it not eligible is so that it won't appear in the standard claim, because we're going to do that in a slightly different way. So we make sure we've got it set up as a payment method, mark that payment method as not eligible for GiftAid, then set up a transaction list to capture and show you the total value of your small donations in a given tax year. And then we're going to reclaim the tax. So we suggest that you claim it when the total of your eligible donations exceeds the maximum allowed, or you've received all your donations for that particular tax year. So you run that list that we just looked at, so that you can see the total, and then go to Financial and GiftAid again, and enter the value of the eligible donations that you've received. If it's higher than the total amount that you're allowed to claim, then just put the total amount, because you'll be over that. And also the tax year that you're claiming for. And just make sure that you download that list so that you've got a record of the amount that you've claimed. So, as we know, we go to Financial, GiftAid, go to the active claim, and just underneath there, you can add in the amount that you've received and the year. So let's have a look at that. Financial, GiftAid, active claim, include the small donations, and we can put the amount received and the tax year for it. And then that will be claimed as part of that claim at the beginning of the following month. So you can see when you go into previous claims, you'll see the detail of the full claim, the full GiftAid claim, and it will also include those small donations if you've added those in as well. So when you look at ready to claim, it's telling you how much it's going to claim to the small donations as well, and it also show you previous claims, the small donations amount as well. How do you view or download a GiftAid claim so that you can see the details before? So go on to Financial, GiftAid again. So as I say, it's all happening in this area. Previous claims, choose the one that you want to have a look at. It will list it underneath, and then there's this little cloud download icon. That will download it as a CSV Excel for you so that you can see that detail. So yeah, Financial, GiftAid, Previous Claims tab, select the claim that you want to view, download it using the icon, and you'll see the detail of all those previous claims. So it's all happening for you automatically. If you just wanted to review it afterwards, you can download and view the details. What we suggest your process might look like is that on the last week of any month, you just go in and you review the active claim. So you'd be coming into Financial, coming to GiftAid, and the active claim is the default, so it starts on that tab. So that first tab, just come in here and look for any of these errors, and then go to the record and change those errors. So remember, come in here, make sure that you've got the error details picker, so it's easy to see what the error is. Correct as many of those as you can at that point. So that's that week before. Then the system will send the administrator or administrators of your system that email on the first of the month to say that you're ready to claim is ready to review. So come in here and again check this for errors. You might want to block or defer some of those. We'll look at that in just a moment. And then the system will send the file automatically to HMRC on the first of the month. So let's just have a look back at the detail in here. So on the active claim, so they'll either be showing as ready or they'll be showing as error. And in your process, you might come in and correct some of those errors. You can also, as you might know, block or defer a payment as well. So if you defer it, that means it will just, it won't go through in this month. It'll stay in the active claim list and be claimed in the following month. So that might be if you just got a bit more checking to do before you want that one to go automatically. If you block a payment or a transaction, that means it will never be able to be claimed again. So that's completely blocking it. You found out some information that that one can't be claimed at all, so you're just going to block it completely. So you can do that. So you can, in the active claim, so before it gets submitted to ready to claim, so the active claim, you can correct the errors, you can defer or block a payment or a transaction. Once it's in the ready to claim screen, all you can do from here is defer or block it. And that's because this is already in the automated process. So that will go through that process for you. And so Donorfy is submitting the information automatically to HMRC for you, and then, as we know, passing the information back, so it will mark all the status of those claims and those transactions back onto the timelines. And then, so if you're, this is actually a little bit wrong. So if Donorfy is showing that the claim has been successful, then that means that HMRC have all the information and they've done everything they need to do. So if you still don't see the money in your bank account, ignore the 14 days bit. Perhaps might need to wait a bit longer than that. We can't control that. But if you, yes, if you're not receiving the money into your bank account, but everything in Donorfy is marked as successful and claimed, then go back to HMRC. So it means that the process has worked correctly. HMRC is just a little bit delayed in sending the money through. So they would be the people to contact for that. So that is everything that we have shown you on GiftAid. So as I say, this has been recorded. It's still recording at the moment. I'll stop that in just a second. You will put the recording onto the Donorfy chat group. Obviously go to support.donorfy.com, scroll down a bit to the GiftAid section. There's a really good document on an FAQs document that has everything in it. So when we get errors through support, we refer to that document ourselves. So any error that you might find is 9 times out of 10, it's on that. So that will also be in here as well. So thank you very much for listening and looking at my fabulous slides. I did say that I was proud of my slides on the Donorfy chat group. I might have oversold that slightly, so sorry if that's the only reason you turned up this morning. But I hope it's been useful. I will now stop the recording and I will unmute everybody. So let me just stop the recording.